So in today's training video, we're going to follow up on what we learned about compound meter yesterday. Do some more counting, and you're going to print off this worksheet. You should have done that already. If not, pause the video and go do that right now. It's up in Canvas, and we will learn how to count these things and how to play them in part, and you'll finish it and then even perform some of it as well for an assignment. So what did we learn about compound meter versus simple meter? Compound meter is when you have a beat, and I'm going to just write it generically like that. And when you break it into parts, it likes to divide evenly into 3 notes. That's compound meter. When you have a beat in simple meter, so this is compound, then, and you break it apart, it likes to divide evenly into 2 parts, like that. So if this is my beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're in simple meter, like 4/4 or 3/4 or something like we've been, it would be 1 and 2 and ba 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 ba, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That should be very, very familiar to you. But if we had compound meter, the beat's still the same, right? But the feel of music doesn't go bum, 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 bum. It goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's the difference. It's not that the beats change, it's that how the beats divide out change. In fact, we call this the division of the beat. Does it divide into 2 parts or 3 parts? And music that is in naturally occurring groups of 3 per beat is called compound meter, okay? So let's think about this then in terms of how we notate that. If you knew that it took 2/8 notes to combine together to make a beat, then these 2 will come down and make a quarter note. And so we've learned to count this as a beat, okay? But if we knew that it took 3 of those to combine to make a beat, then it would look like a dotted quarter note. Now here's the part that gets people. Everybody understands that a beat is a beat is a beat, the pulse. And simple is when you go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it divides into 2 parts. And you get the concept that compound is 1 and 2 and or 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Not a problem. The problem happens when we say, well, what gets a beat? The beat, what looks like a beat, or what does a beat look like? In compound meter, when we want to express a beat, we take 3 of these 8th notes in this case and combine them together to make a dotted quarter note. And you already understand that in simple meter, we'd combine these 2 8th notes to make a quarter note. Because they look different and they would be counted different in simple versus compound, that's what throws people visually. Don't think of it like they're the same thing. Think of it like it's currency. I know. This is a Canadian dollar, right? And generally speaking, it just looks like that, okay? This is a US dollar. They're both dollars, but this one has usually more value or money inside of it. And they look a little different from each other, even though they're dollars. In other words, when you're in simple meter, you spend Canadian dollars, 1 and 2 and 1, boom, boom. But when you're in the US, you spend American dollars, still a dollar, right? But it divides up. Yeah, dun, 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 dun. It's apples and oranges. They're both called dollars. They both get used in similar ways, but they're not the same thing. These are green. These are other colors. Well, right now, actually, they're gold coins because they use loonies for that now. But we get confused because they visually look differently. If you're in compound meter, say 6/8, right? Then this is what looks like a beat and equals a beat. And if you are in 2/4, that's what looks like a beat and equals a beat. They're different things. All right. Hopefully this becomes clear through application. So how do we count these? Well, you count this as the beat 1, and you call it the second one as an and the next one is an right? Whereas before we just go one and two and three and four and one and two and three and four and. If the beats are the same length, then these notes are going by faster than these ones because you have to fit 3 inside there, and this one you only have to fit 2. All right? Let's head over to the worksheet and see, hopefully it makes sense to you, but if it doesn't, maybe by doing, you will go, oh, now it's starting to come clearer. Like I said, most people don't have a problem with understanding that beats divide up into 3, and that's what we call compound meter, but it's when it gets visual and stuff, we have problems, okay? So, the thing we learned, by the way, is that if you have a 6, a 9, or a 12 on top of, in this case, 8, that this is an indicator that we're in compound meter, some multiple of 3, okay? And you can see that, for instance, I'm in 12/8 time here, that my beats all have dots on them because we combine 3 of these eighth notes together to make one of those things. And if 3 of these make a beat that looks like that when they're simplified into one note, then if you think about it, 12 eighth notes, 12 of these, if you put them into groups of 3 each per beat, that means we have 4 beats because you'd go 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, and this would be a dotted quarter note, so 4, 2, 3. So 12/8 actually is 4 beats per measure, but it's not 4/4, it's 12/8, which means that we'll break these into groups of 3. Let's start counting. In 12/8 time, or anything 8 time that's a compound meter, 3 eighth notes combine together to make a beat. So that gets counted on 1, that gets counted on 2, that gets counted on 3, and that gets counted on 4. Just like if they were quarter notes in 4/4 time. But here, we would count this 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 3 eighth notes worth make a beat. And then in between, instead of just 1 and 2 and, we have a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, right? So if this was my beat, I'd count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then if we continued, 1 and 2 lasts for the whole beat, right? 3 and 4. And that's how that works, okay? I'm going to count this one here without any explanation. See if you can do it faster than I can. Remember, dotted quarter notes will get a beat. Eighth notes are the divisions of the beat, right? That's what it breaks down into. Half notes used to be worth 2 beats. Dotted half notes are now worth 2 beats. And let's just go to right here, okay? And see how we do. I'll go slow, and then I'll explain afterwards. Those are my beats, and this is divided up. Okay, so there's my first beat, dotted quarter note. This is a dotted quarter note's worth of time. It's my second beat, but it's divided into 2 and 3, 4. Now this is worth 2 beats, the dotted half. So just like if we were in 4/4 time and we had a half note, we'd go 1 and put the 2 there in parentheses. We do the same thing here. We still want to see where all the beats are, but if it doesn't start a note, then we put it in parentheses right there. So 1, 2 parentheses, 3 and 4, okay? Now, let's talk about this one together. This is not an easily seen group of 3 eighth notes, and it doesn't have a dotted quarter note. So what is it? Well, remember that 3 eighth notes is the 3 and or 1 and right there. So we still start on 1. this is worth 2/8 notes. So that would be like 1 and, right? And then this would be my 3/8 note right there. 1 and 2 and right? 3 and 4. However, just like when we did simple time signatures, we didn't write the ands of anything unless it was under a note. We just left it out. That's why if we had in simple time signature, like 2 quarter notes like that, you'd go 1, 2. Now there's an and in there, but we never write it because there's nothing articulating it there. So in order to do this correctly, although we understand that this is 1 and the and this comes on the 1 and 2 and we don't write the and because it's not a beat, so we don't keep track of it when it's not being articulated. So we wouldn't put it in parenthesis. Now we're still hearing ya da da 1 and 1 and da 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 da. But we just would articulate here da 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 da. So you're still hearing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But da 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 da. 1 2 3 and 4. That's how you do it. Try this next measure. I'll go silently and slowly. See if you can count it. 1. So I hope you got that right. Quarter note equivalent, right? Dotted quarter notes, so that's a beat, a beat. This begins the beat, it goes through the 3 and the and, but it doesn't go through the so 3, 4. But we don't write the and in because we don't write ands and uhs unless they're underneath an actual note art that starts the note. So we just don't write that in there, okay? All right, let's try the third line together now. So this third line is 9/8 instead of 12/8. Well, it still sort of works the same, right? 3/8 notes combined together to make a beat. So if it takes 3/8 notes to make a beat and there's 9/8 notes in a measure, then that's 3 groups of 3, 3, 6, and then, well, hold on, 3, 6, right? And then 9, right? 3 groups of 3. So this is actually 3 beats per measure, okay? So, and we would count it the same way. So again, this is on 1, it goes through 1 and but we don't write the and in because it's not a beat and it's consumed inside this note right there. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, right? And then 1 and 2 and 3. And again, because there's only 3 groups of 3/8 notes in the measure, 9/8, right? We're in 3 beats, so there is no beat 4, just like in 3/4 time. Here we go. 1, 2. You're supposed to say Gesundheit. Ha ha. Can't believe I did that. 3 and 1, 2, Gesundheit, 3. Like that. Okay? All right. Your homework for today is to do the rest of this. Now, just remember that if I'm in 6/8 time and it takes 3/8 notes to combine to make a beat and I only have 6 in there, this only has 2 beats. So you're only going to write 1s and 2s, but not 3s and 4s, and possibly andas, right? 9/8 is 3 beats. So you'll have 1, 2, 3, right? And then we're back to 12/8, which is 4 beats, because 4 groups of 3 equals 12. All right. I will put, will I put an answer key up? I think I will this time. I think I will, because I want you to get this right, and I need you to get feedback immediately. So count this, check it against the answer key, which I'll put up online. It'll just be this thing filled out completely. and see how you did. Now you'll take a quiz to say I did it. You'll take a photo of it, but you'll also give a little feedback on if this is starting to make sense for counting, right? Then tomorrow we'll talk about actually performing these things. I think that, yeah, I think we'll leave it there for that. Tomorrow we will go back and look at the actual falling in love and see if we can count that the same as this here, and of course practice it. But for today, finish this, check it, and then upload a picture so that I can see how you've been doing to make sure that you've got it right, and you can answer a few questions about compound meter in a Canvas reporting quiz.